You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, welcome to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, guys. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here. So we're actually in a conference room right now with a really special guest and a really special episode for you guys. So I'm actually hanging out with Mike Voories right here with the COO of Brilar. How you doing, brother?
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. You're sitting in the hot seat, and before we hit record, you're like, what are we doing again? No. So this will be a really fun episode for you guys that are listening in. If you guys don't know Brilar is one of the largest lawn and landscape companies and maintenance companies up here in not only Metro Detroit, but they have a national presence. So a lot of you guys have really enjoyed the interviews with guys like Troy Clogg and Corey Ballard, and some of you guys are trying to grow a really successful large company, you know, whether you're doing a couple million or 5 million, 10 million. Some of you have these big ambitions and these big goals. So on the podcast, you guys know that I'm trying to give the lay of the land, right? From owner operator to some of the big fish that I get access to. And Mike and Heather and all the folks here, they've been just first class inviting me in and wanted to help you guys grow your business. So Mike, so for the people that maybe don't know you, before we jump down the rabbit hole and we start talking about growing a company and company culture and equipment and all this other stuff that you guys have a lot of experience doing. Maybe for the guests and the people that don't know you, maybe if you just want to share your background so people can get to know you a little bit more.
Sure. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming out and seeing us.
Yeah.
I started in the industry professionally, I would say 1997.
Okay.
So a little over 24, 25 years, something like that.
I love it.
Started with a little company that's not around anymore. I did my own thing for a little while. Didn't like it. I actually worked for Troy Clogg that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Ended up here, chief operating officer. We've grown this company. We've all but doubled it in the last 5.5 years. So it's been fun.
Wow. So a lot of growth.
A lot of growth.
So we were talking before we hit the record button. There's a lot of the same struggles that my audience has, you know, with finding good people, mechanization, right? Handling the back end office, trying to grow a company. You guys deal with the same issues and problems too, just like we do. You know, we're all in this together. You guys might be a bigger fish, and you know, I always joke, add a couple more zeros on the end of every digit. But the reality is that you guys are doing exactly what my audience is doing every day with cutting grass, doing landscape installs, design build. So it's really, really exciting. And the perspective that you have is way different than mine. Right, you have this huge macro view running this aircraft carrier. I'm the little jet ski out there, you know, just hopping off the waves of the big guys. And but you know what? I really do feel like there's going to be a lot of value derived from this podcast because there's some different ideas that we were already spitballing back and forth before we got the link up that I think are going to add a lot of value to you guys listening in. So let's do this. Let's jump into listening to the sponsors of the show really quick, and then we'll get right back into things.
Have you ever thought about starting your own lawn and landscaping business, but not sure where to start? Look no further than LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com, an e-training website dedicated to helping you start and grow a successful lawn care business. Save more time and make way more money by learning exactly what it takes to grow your business to the next level. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all training programs today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, Mike. So a lot of folks, they know you as the COO of Brilar, but maybe they don't know the actual company Brilar. Mm-hmm. So I know one thing that you guys wanted to share, because there's such a rich history here, is talking about the actual B&L story, right? The Brilar story. So why don't you take it away for 5-10 minutes and let everybody know how this whole thing came to be?
Sure. So I only know the Brilar story firsthand for the last 5.5 years, going on 6 years.
Okay.
B&L Landscaping started in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Yaffa was the founder.
Yep.
Our current CEO, Larry, that's his father.
Okay.
Did a lot of municipal work, a lot of freeway work, a little bit of landscaping, stuff like that.
Cool.
Larry really got involved in the business and started really growing it.
Okay.
Getting it on the track to what it is today.
Sure.
I joined the company 5.5 years ago when we really went into hyper growth mode.
Right.
This was our only location 5.5 years ago.
Is that right?
So now we have, we opened an office in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
We've opened an office in Cleveland, Indianapolis,
Wow.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
And now we're opening a second office here in Detroit.
So things are booming.
Yeah,
So you guys flying by the seat of your pants here?
absolutely.
Everything is, nothing's stapled down or bolted down, right? Because everything's fluid.
Everything's fluid, and we're learning as we go. So.
100%. And now, are you guys basically up and down the East Coast? Or are you guys anything on the West Coast at all just currently?
No, mostly in the eastern United States. So,
Okay.
So we do those markets we just talked about, the five markets around the Great Lakes and Midwest.
Sure.
And then we also have a national presence through a network of service partners.
Okay.
So I don't know, 13, 14 states, something like that.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. That's the first probably question that I get. It'd be an easy volley to you is how did you guys start becoming such a large regional player? Like there's got to be a story in between, just mom and pop running their own small business, right? To being a regional player and a national player. What do you think are some of as guys listening to this are trying to grow their company, what do you guys think are some of the keys to success for you guys growing your company to what it's become in the last 5 years, especially under your leadership?
Yeah, so to me, a lot of it is just about growth, personal growth.
Okay.
I think labor is really hard to find in the industry.
Oh, sure.
And one of the reasons is because it can be a dead-end job for a lot of people.
Right.
And for those companies that they do a good job, they do good work, but they're always the same size.
Mm-hmm.
Guys in the field are relying on someone to retire, someone to get fired.
Sure.
And that's how you move up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some young people in the company, some aggressive people in the company, and we just decided we're going to grow the company.
Sure.
And we're going to make opportunities for people without them having to wait for someone to retire.
So a lot of the young guys can find some good, you guys can find fresh blood and new blood into the company, but then you also give these people an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Is that where you're seeing a lot of these new branches and whatnot open up to have these young guys start taking over these different key positions in the company?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we promote from within whenever we can.
Yeah.
We're also able to recruit really good people from the industry.
Sure.
Because we have growth opportunities.
It's funny. Swear to God, this morning on Instagram, I opened up my Instagram. I saw a Brilar ad for now hiring. So I don't know, Heather, if we're doing the target marketing against me or my audience or my age group, but it was like, come work for us. Great pay, great growth opportunities, and professional work environment. And I was like, good for those. Good for those guys. So what make you guys grow into the 4 or 5 different markets you guys are in right now? Was it a business decision or just just had some great accounts? Again, I can't speak to totally understanding the macro that you guys participate at, but I don't know, maybe you got 200 Home Depot stores or something nationally to take care of. Is that kind of how it works, or how does that work at your guys' level?
I don't know if it works this way for everyone. I mean, maybe this is a bit of insanity, but
yeah.
No, it wasn't really chasing work that we had sold.
Okay.
And we didn't grow it all through acquisition. We haven't bought anything.
Wow.
So Grand Rapids was the first branch, and it was a natural first step because it's a day trip. You can keep a close eye on it. Grand Rapids is a nice market.
Totally. Beautiful area too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. They don't like people from Detroit.
No. Well, the up north people don't like the down south people, and the Oopers, right, and the trolls, right? If you're from Michigan, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so Grand Rapids was number 1 just
Okay.
because it was close. And then Cleveland was number 2 because their market is very similar to Detroit.
Okay.
It's an industrial city, it's blue collar city, it's not too far away.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
And then after that, we had, I guess, a decision to make. I really wanted to do Indianapolis. Larry, who's our CEO, he really had an eye on Des Moines.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if I would recommend this, but this is what we did. We just decided to do both of them at the same time. So.
Wow. What was that decision? How did you? What's that conversation with growing a multi-million-dollar company like this? Were you guys like, hey, we're just going to do both? And what's the next attack plan? You just started hiring local, get an office manager. What do you guys do there?
Yeah. So when we opened Grand Rapids, we promoted and transferred a guy out there.
Okay.
Cleveland, we did the same thing. We promoted our irrigation manager to be a branch manager there.
Wow.
Indianapolis, we hired a local manager who knew the market, knew the area.
Okay.
Des Moines, same thing.
Wow, no kid. And that was, how many years have both of these markets been open? A couple years now?
Indy and Des Moines, they're on their second year.
Wow. And how's growth?
Good.
Good.
I mean, Des Moines is our second biggest branch in our newest market.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So a lot of fast growth. Yeah, it's funny when I was shooting emails back and forth, I said, how does it feel to be like, we can talk about how you guys can be a regional player. And Heather corrected me. She's like, actually, we're becoming a national player. I'm like, thank you, girl. I appreciate that. So she's right here in the room with us. We're just having fun. These guys are really hang loose, so I like cutting up with these guys. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about was maybe different trends in the industry, right? Because what better to learn from somebody who's growing really fast growing really successfully about the newest, latest, and greatest that's available to our industry, right? We were talking about mechanization and labor, building teams of people, right? So these are some of the different bullet points that I know guys listening to the podcast are experiencing similar pain points or opportunities, right? So as we continue to go on this whole timeline and of growth, what's some of the things that you guys have noticed are helping you achieve this growth? Is it equipment related, personnel related? I know you hit on a few of these, but
I know it sounds cliche, but it's really the people.
Okay.
And not that we're doing it for charity or trying to be a great community steward or anything like that.
Sure.
To grow a company rapidly, you need people.
Right.
And we're doing it in one of the hardest labor markets ever.
Totally.
So we have a beautiful fleet, a lot of nice trucks, new trucks, beautiful trucks.
Right.
Not because we so much care about having those. I mean, our clients want nice equipment to a certain extent.
Sure.
But we're trying to have a competitive edge recruiting.
Sure.
And it's part of why we're growing fast instead of slow, is because we can get talent when we can offer opportunities.
I like that. Do you think that the nicer new equipment is kind of like your business card that goes with that now hiring sign that says like, hey, work for a company that's growing?
It's part of it for sure.
Yeah. Do you think the guys that have not the most generous pay, or they're not willing to make those investments, do you think that's going to be a roadblock for those guys trying to grow a larger company?
Oh yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah. Well, why do you think the labor market's so competitive for guys like us? Because I'm an owner operator, and it's hard for me to even find a 20-year-old kid to run a weed whip, right? And and I know there's other guys in the green industry that need up to 2,000 or 3,000 people a year to replenish just the rank and file. That doesn't even, like you said, talk about future growth. So do you guys have experienced some of those similar pain points? I was just curious at this level. I mean, I would imagine you guys have a nonstop marketing arm for constant recruitment.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we decided to hire a recruiter.
Okay.
So we have a full-time recruiter. We got a human resource department.
Do you guys? Okay.
Heather, who you've met, is wonderful. She's new to us, and she's our director of marketing, our marketing coordinator. But half of her time is spent marketing for recruiting purposes.
Is that right?
And the other half is for business development. So
no kidding.
Finding talent and putting people in the right seats on our bus is a huge part of what we do.
Sure. Well, I think that's also another area that if somebody wants to grow a larger company, that it might be something that they forget. They're thinking we need the most, latest and greatest equipment and mowers and trucks. And I get it, but I heard once it was a book called Bringing Out the Best in People, where he talked about in the beginning, as you run a company, you're going to have to be 90% technical and 10% people. Right. And as you continue to grow, and you already know where I'm going with this, you need to be 50-50, right? You need to worry about people, invest in your people, steward your people, right? And the other half is worrying about equipment. But as you become an executive or a manager, right, or a higher level CEO, a CFO, a COO, and as you continue to grow a company, you need to become more 90-10, right? What trimmers and blowers and mowers you're running might not be as important as the kind of personnel that you're hiring and the kind of person you need to be as a leader. Let me ask you that. Can you speak to that as somebody who is in charge of the aircraft carrier? What do you personally do to grow a larger company, knowing that maybe you did start off 90-10, then it went 50-50, and now, let me guess, you're probably not on a trimmer every day out there. I'm sure you can hold your own, right? But I think you'd probably be more valuable served in your organization stewarding and running this aircraft carrier, right? So what do you do as a COO and a leader of a company like this to continue to move the ship forward?
It's all people. It's all recruiting. I'm not good enough to do it.
Sure.
I know I'm not. So, over the last 5.5 years, we've hired some great people.
Sure.
And we've created positions the company didn't have before, and a lot of landscapers don't have.
Sure.
We have a marketing coordinator. This year we promoted someone to director of training.
Okay.
So we've got a guy who's been in the industry for 30 years.
Wow.
And all he does for us is train.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel that that's one of your qualities, is that where your strengths are and maybe where you're not strong at? Like, for example, I know I talked to Greg Woodstock, the pond guy, and I said, Greg, how do you hire these amazing people? He goes, really simply, I don't hire anybody. He goes, because people lie. And he goes, and I believe people that lie. And he goes, so I'm the worst at hiring. So, so maybe your strength isn't hiring and firing because you got other things going on and you know that maybe that's not your strength suit. But do you feel like it's like systems or time management or one thing we want to talk about was company culture and vision. That's something that Heather said that, hey, ask Mike about this question. This is something that's like a fastball down the middle. Is this true, or we just bumps that spike? So can you speak to that one?
Yeah, no, our vision, we want to be profitable. We want to be recognized in the industry, but a big part of our vision is being a sought after employer.
Right.
It's in our mission statement and our vision statement. We want to be a sought after employer.
I like it.
And again, not because we're these amazing people. I mean,
sure.
Maybe we are, but it's really because you need these good people to grow a business.
Right.
If we want to add another branch in Texas next year, I need 30 or 40 more people in a year.
Sure.
And if we don't have really good pay, if we don't have better benefits than everyone else, if
right.
we don't have clean vehicles,
right,
they're going somewhere else.
It's hard to get that talent. So right now you're in the talent acquisition phase for sure. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for in somebody that you're trying to grow and promote internally, or maybe if you're trying to recruit from another company or another industry, because labor is tough. And it's really interesting, and maybe you can weigh in on this because you have, like I said, a much bigger perspective than I do with running this size of a company. But, it used to be like we're just competing for getting those 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, maybe the 25 to 35-year-old guy, right? But a lot, like right now, lawn care companies are competing with Amazon. Amazon's competing with small businesses because we all need the same good people and talent. And every industry is like this. So do you feel like that's another thing where you're trying to work with people and grab that good talent from other industries?
Yeah, and that's exactly why we hired a training person, because we can hire, instead of you need 3 years of experience riding an Exmark mower.
Right.
Now we can take, you're a great guy, you'll come to work every day, you don't do drugs.
Right.
You're professional, you're polite, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to cut grass.
What's some of the qualities that you're looking for as you promote those people from within or you hire from a different company? Is it leadership skills, communication skills?
It's ownership, someone who will take ownership of their job. So even if you're a string trimmer guy, if you're going to take ownership and own it, you're ready for the next level.
I like it.
Ambition, motivation, a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, we all spend a lot of time at work, so we want to be around people we like.
What about attitude? Is attitude a big one?
Attitude's huge.
Yeah. I always heard higher attitude, train skills, right? So like I heard a guy tell a story of he was a motivational speaker, and he was at a Marriott hotel, and he was hanging out with Mr. Marriott, whoever that is, right? And the guy Darren said, "Well, Mr. Marriott, like, how do you have all these great, upbeat, smiling people working for you? How did you train them to be that way?" And the tycoon said, "We don't teach people how to be upbeat and positive and that smile and have a good attitude. We hire that, and we teach them how to be good hotel managers."
That's
and
great.
You know what I mean? And I said, I've always tried to apply that skill set to my business. Is if you have a good attitude and you have integrity, I can teach you how to cut, trim, blow, edge, lay mulch, do the whole deal. Is that something that you would concur?
Yeah, I would concur, and that's something that's been it's taken a while to learn that. It hasn't always been that way.
Sure.
But that's exactly what's going on now. Is we just try to hire good people.
What to you? What's or to your company and your staff? Because if you're moving at this rate of speed, how long does it take, or could it take, for somebody to get promoted or start climbing through the ranks? What's a checkpoint or like a benchmark? Is it like you give them a certain task, or maybe they have a season under their belt? Like what's those? Like when we're shifting gears in the car, we get the rev limiter, and maybe like the little yellow light peeks on and it says shift gears. Maybe like a Lamborghini, which I don't have one yet. Maybe you do. I don't know. But what's your guys' yellow light to flash that says you can shift gears and take somebody from one position to the next?
Yeah, we've done it too early sometimes.
Sure.
But we err on the side of that. I mean, we would rather take someone a little bit too early and stub our toe and work with them,
right,
than bring someone in off the street.
Right.
But it's different for everyone. Some people love cutting grass, and the thought of managing 20 or 30 people in a department scares the hell out of them.
Right.
Some people want to be salespeople because they see our sales team come in at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're out networking on Saturday night, and it looks great.
Right.
But they don't realize that the other part of being a salesperson is pounding the phone,
sure,
knocking on doors.
100%.
So everyone's different. It just depends on the person. I mean, we've had crew leaders get promoted to operations managers after just a couple short years.
Okay.
We've also got people in the field that have been in the field for over a decade, and we love them, and they love being here. It's just different people.
I love it. Well, so as we're continuing this conversation, and by the way, I know a lot of these companies I'm coming at you rapid fire, but I'm really enjoying this because as I continue to grow my company and we have bottlenecks, and as I know other guys are growing a larger company, they have these bottlenecks. I know this might be day-to-day stuff for you, but for us, this is we don't get access to this kind of information sometimes, you know. What about company culture? How do you guys grow the Brilar company culture? Is it networking events, like you said, office parties, you know, hey, we're gonna go play community paintball day, you know? I don't know. Hey, we're all going to a high ropes course. You know, how do you build company culture for the newest guy to the 35-year-old, you know, vet for the or the 21-year-old vet for the company? How do you guys meld all this together so you guys are a cohesive unit going down the road?
Well, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We actually did paintball a couple of years ago. Hurts like hell. I don't know if you've ever done it.
I am an avid paintball player. I love paintball.
Oh
I'm the guy that will shoot you up. We all have our hobbies, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I don't want to give you the same answer for every question, but it's the people. It's hiring the right people.
Sure.
Like I can't make you be a different person.
Right.
You know, I can treat you right. I can pay you. I can give you opportunities. But if you come in with a crappy attitude,
right.
If you come in with an entitled mindset,
right.
I can't fix that. I'm not good enough.
Right.
So a big part of it is hiring the right people and then coaching and mentoring and giving them opportunities to grow. Because if you don't, they'll go somewhere else.
Sure. Do you think that as people continue to grow their company, and you know, we're just flying by the wire here, as people continue to grow their company, what's some things that you have seen separate and differentiate Brilar from other companies? Like, why are you guys growing? I know it's the people, right? Just kidding. But outside of that, is there other investments that you guys are making into, like you said, equipment? Because I really do feel like that is a huge part of it. But what's some things that are separating you guys from, you know, the next big company down the road? Because you guys are all competing for the same talent.
Sure. No, we use the latest equipment, or at least we try to. You know,
Sure.
We try to have modern vehicles. We try to stay current with what lawnmowers and 2-cycle equipment's out there.
Okay.
Software is a big part of it. You know, we've got GPS that helps us do our job. We've got software that we use to run the company.
Cool.
We've got cameras on job sites. We've got cameras on our buildings. So we embrace all that technology.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys, who do you guys use for software to run your guys' organization, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't. We use Aspire now.
Aspire?
We're new to them. We hooked up with them right before this winter.
Nice.
So
has it been working out for you guys?
It's amazing. It's
all
awesome.
Right. This podcast is now sponsored by Aspire, you know? No, we're just having fun. I'm always curious because I know guys use like the LMNs and, you know, smaller companies like, you know, mine use Jobber or Yardbook, these other smaller CRMs. But it's always one of those things where I'm trying to figure out, as people grow a larger company, how do you manage it all? You know, like that's one maybe a good question to ask is how do, you know, I'm sure you get, there's so much information available to us now, right? Emails, calls, text, conference calls, the whole deal, right? How do you process all this data that comes at you? Like, what's the drivers for you to continue to grow the company?
Well, you got to be willing to change as the times change. And as you learn, you have to be open-minded.
Yeah.
You know, we used a big piece of software for a number of years it was big, it was robust, it did a bunch of stuff, but it was really hard to operate.
Okay.
We actually used LMN for a couple of years.
Okay.
It's not a bad piece of software at all.
Sure.
But to give you an example, we're on our third piece of software in the last 6 years.
So you guys are changing.
Yeah. So we're willing to change and adapt and all that fun stuff and the growing pains and roadblocks that come along with it.
I like it. Well, okay. So as we continue to grow the company, and you know, again, I'm enjoying the conversation. So as you guys continue to grow the company, what's the next 5-10 years of the Brilar story? Because the last 5 years under your leadership have just been, you know, gangbusters, right? Exploding with growth. Is there other markets you guys are going to be breaking into? Of course, you guys do everything, right? From maintenance to landscape installs and design. A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. I mean, we're a commercial maintenance company, so we don't do a whole lot in the design build market. Okay. But we're a commercial maintenance company, so maintenance, enhancements, snow removal. Sure. You know, focused in the commercial market.
I like it. What about the next 4 or 5 years? Where are you guys going?
Yeah, great question. I'm not a 5-year business plan guy. Just be honest with you.
Sure.
But you know, our national department where we use a network of service partners, that's a big part of our growth.
Okay.
You know, we hired a new guy to run that department a couple months ago who's wonderful. We're going to really try to blow that up.
Sure.
We're going to try to compete with some of these other guys who've got kind of a bad reputation and do stuff a little bit different.
100%.
Our existing markets we're trying to grow.
Yeah.
And then we got our eye on a couple more markets, you know, whether it's Columbus or even something down south, maybe Florida, Texas.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Nice. Let me ask you this. Where do you feel like a lot of people drop the ball as they grow a larger commercial outfit?
they want to do everything themselves, especially your owner operator.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I've seen. I mean,
no, for sure.
I think what it is they, there's a period of time where they have to do everything.
Right.
You're running the guys, you're writing the schedule, you're selling the work.
Right.
So as you grow, it gets hard to let go of that. So you hire good people, but you're still doing everything.
Yes.
So you got to get to a point where instead of being the owner and having a bunch of helpers,
right,
you got to let people own their section of the business.
So does that, again, go full circle to leadership and good people?
Yeah.
Because I think it does.
Yeah, but when you hire the good people, you got to be willing to let go and let them do their job.
Right. So are you give somebody what I've always done and how it works for me, even at my little level, is I take the newest guy with a trimmer, right? Teach him the basics. He goes and mows a lawn or trims grass or whatever, right? He comes back. You give him a little bit more responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. You give him that task. He goes out, performs, succeeds, maybe fails. A little adjustment, correction, right? We've all been there. And then he comes back and he succeeds, right? So is that kind of like your philosophy too, of giving somebody a little bit more responsibility, or are you like a micromanage behind the scenes guy, or what's your philosophy? Because everybody's got their own.
I'm more hands off than almost anybody.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's what you got to do though. You got to push people to be more, and then you just pay attention. They either push back and they don't want it, or they embrace it and stumble and get back up, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you put somebody into a leadership role for the first time. Mm-hmm. For me personally, and sometimes it comes out of necessity. Right, like, hey, this guy called off. You're taking the guys out today.
You're the crew leader.
You ever notice that?
Yeah.
And sometimes when I've noticed that if you try to ask somebody to rise up, they're like, no. But if you ever you ever use this approach where you throw a guy in the truck and he goes, well, where's Steve, the crew leader? And he goes, hey, so here's what we're gonna do today. Steve's gonna be in that truck, and you're the manager of this truck today. You guys ever notice, but like kind of throw them out of the frying pan into the fire, see if they jump?
Yeah, and some people do great with it. Some people that you don't even think would do good. It's it's a paradigm shift. It's how they see the world. So I'm the boss now. I have to own it.
Right.
And you're shocked, and they're shocked sometimes.
Right. I've noticed people perform more sometimes when you put them. What do they call it? Like direct pressure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you a direct pressure guy?
A little bit. Yeah, I'm more hands off. Really.
You guys are surprisingly too chill here. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if this is a good. We're sitting in the conference room and everybody's super calm. If I was running this organization right now, which is why I don't run this organization, I'd be like, who's got the trimmer? Who's got the 2-stroke? Like we'd be freaking out and running around. But you are like Cool Hand Luke right now, and it's giving me good vibes. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how I know you guys have like good prospects for your future, because you have some good foundations. I can just tell that's working between you guys. Because if it was me, we'd be like, my wife and I were two blondes taking over the world. You know what I mean? So like that's why we need to be wealthy too, to be honest with you, Mike, because our kids, they're probably screwed. You know what I mean? So, anyway, let's do this. Let's take a sip of water. We got tons of more content that we're going to bring you guys. I really appreciate this time with Mike. I don't take it for granted, so I don't want to ramble. But these are really fun questions. These are just again a different perspective as we talk to somebody with a much larger company and organization than mine, and what I typically get asked or get access to. Maybe for like the last 5 or 10 minutes, if you want to wrap up. This is one that I always try to ask the people that I interview is, like you said, it always comes down to people, and it always comes down to leadership. But I've also heard things say like the growth of an organization is going to be, contingent on the growth of the individual leading the organization. So it's going to come down to you, Mr. Mike. What are some things that you do to grow you, to make sure that you can grow this company? Like, for example, you always hear stats like CEOs on average in the U.S. That make 60 times as much as the rank and file guy, but they also read 60 times as many books. Mm-hmm. Like you've heard stuff like this, right?
Sure.
Are you a big self-help guy, or do you listen to, podcasts? Are you always trying to train and educate yourself, or do you have any experience or any tips for guys that are trying to grow a company, like maybe where they can plug into or learn from that has helped you?
Yeah. I'm a huge self-improvement guy, probably to an obnoxious level.
Yeah.
Because I'm also pretty introverted, so it's easy for me to sit home on a Saturday and read a book or listen to a podcast.
Well, we have 2 introverts on the podcast. Yeah. This is great.
I've also got an hour commute to work most days, and I do a fair amount of traveling, so podcasts and books are amazing.
Yeah.
No, I've over the years, I've learned a lot from going to seminars, classes, listening to other people in the industry, listening to other people just in the business world.
Sure.
I love reading books.
Yeah.
I love audiobooks.
Amen.
It's a lazier way to do it.
I love it.
Podcasts.
Yeah.
There's a zillion podcasts out there.
Sure.
And I've stumbled on a few of them. I don't I don't know that I've ever stumbled on actually a green industry one, to be honest with you.
There's only 3 or 4, and
that's super cool.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Guys like me, we're owner operators, right? And we're on the mower 8 hours a day. And I can totally echo what you just said. Like, I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki on one podcast. The next one I'm listening to Audible book from John Maxwell. Then I'm listening to Darren Hardy or all these different folks. I'm listening to Grant Cardone, kick me in the face. Then I'm listening to Joel Osteen being really nice to me, So it's like I got this whole spectrum that I'm listening to, and depending on whether you catch me, I might throat punch you or give you a hug. I don't know, So what's any go-to people that you like to listen to? No right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. Do you like the business stuff, or are you like a spiritual grounded person? Like anywhere in between, anything that you like?
Yeah, spiritual and also kind of perspective based. If you want to, and I guess it applies to business too.
Sure.
In fact, I know it applies to business. I like Andy Andrews. I don't know if you've read any of his stuff.
I haven't. Is he good?
He's good.
Okay.
He's good. He's all over YouTube, and he's got a bunch of books.
Cool. You kind of remind me of, this might be total like off base, but you kind of remind me of like a Ray Dalio type. You're very thoughtful, very introspective, do you know Ray Dalio, the hedge fund guy, multi-billionaire? He's mega wealthy and super successful guy, but he did a book, it's slipping my mind right now, but you kind of get this like Ray Dalio vibe going on, and it's a good thing. It's a compliment. He's
not a hedge fund guy in prison or anything.
No, he's one of the good ones, Yeah, no, not the Bernie Madoffs, right? Do you listen to like any CEO, COO like training or books like that? Do you go to any of these kind of as you're growing an organization? For real, I mean, it sounds like. It sounds kind of funny and not hypocritical, but it sounds funny that you got to like start learning all these different skills, but it's so true. Like, just because you're good on a weed whip doesn't mean you're good at leading an organization. Is that your experience?
That's true. And even once you get good at running an organization, you got good at running an organization up until today.
Right.
Tomorrow's different.
Totally.
So, I'm a sponge. I try to learn as much as I can. I try to soak in as much as I can.
Right.
Most of it's really, really good. I mean, there's some garbage out there, but most of it's good. And
a lot of repeated stuff.
But you can't learn much from yourself, I've learned.
Sure.
So you got to get around other people. You got to listen to books, read books.
Right.
Go to seminars, go to conventions.
Who's your number one guy or influence that's had the biggest impact on you as you continue to guide this whole ship in the last 5 years? Anyone or anything in particular? Besides, obviously, Fullerton Unfiltered podcast.
No, I think it's a combination. I don't know that I could put my finger on any one thing.
Sure.
I mean, I've read a lot of books that I've spent 6 months after reading the book.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to conquer the world based on those principles.
Sure.
And then I read another book, and now I'm combining all of that.
Yeah.
And most of the advice I give people that is probably taken as firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this stuff I've learned from other business people, from books, from podcasts, whatever. I soak this stuff in, I blend it all together, and it becomes mine. So
well, and you know what? Here's the thing. I'll say this is that when you walk into an organization, when I walk into a company, it takes me 30 seconds to get the pulse of the place, because if people are running around with their chicken with their head chopped off, or nobody's got a clue what's going on, there's no systems in place, you can tell. Like, have you ever been in a place like that? You can tell in 30 seconds that nobody's really sure what's going on here. It's just this like moving, lazy river kind of a thing going on, right? And when I come in here and I'm like, hey, I'm here to see, Mike and a lady named Heather, because I never got the chance to meet you guys in person. A lady up front, like, she knew exactly what to do. She knew what was going on. She's trained. People are coordinated. And I know that just stems not only from the corporate office here, but to the individual crews. And so I always say, like, the speed of an organization is determined by the speed of the leader, right? And so it is top down. And by the way, there's other times where if the organization fails, it comes on to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even if something else messes up in Des Moines, you are responsible for Des Moines.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you got to, being a CEO, it's like it's out there, it's flashy, it's maybe not flashy, I don't know. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. But you have a lot of people looking up to you, and it's a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it might be top down, but my influence at the top, and I know it's boring and it's the same answer, but we have Des Moines, and I can sleep at night knowing that that's out of my driving distance and I can't get there.
Right.
Because of the people we've hired there.
Good people there.
So if we didn't have those people, it would be a nightmare.
I like it.
I'd be up all night looking at the GPS and the camera and
freaking out.
And I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have those worries because we hired the right people.
I like it. Well, let's do this. Let's wrap it up with just an open mic. I always try to give people just a couple minutes. I've got all my millions of questions, right? Heather did a great job here actually supplying me some extra ones during the break. So just open mic. Is there anything that you would want to leave as just maybe some pearls of wisdom or some nuggets to anybody that, whether they have 5 guys or 10 guys, or maybe they got a small company of 20, 30 people, and maybe they are doing $2 million. How do they go from that to Brilar? I know we talked a lot about people, investing in your company, investing in your equipment. But any like one guiding principle or, bullet point, we always have these like motivational quips in our brain. If you help enough other people get what they want, you automatically get what you want. Right. Is there anything that like guides Mike Voories, here as you grow Brilar that you could pass on to those guys?
Oh boy, there's so many things. Know your numbers is probably the big one.
Yeah.
You got to know your numbers, and then the bigger you get, the more important it becomes.
I've heard this.
Because instead of 5 people relying on you, if you have 250 or 300 employees and their families relying on a paycheck,
right?
You got to know your numbers.
Sure.
Stop paying so much attention to what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
It's Brian's cutting grass for $35 an hour. That's all the market will pay.
Right.
No, it's not. That's just what Brian's charging.
I love it.
Figure out your costs, and you find a way to sell what you need to sell.
Exactly.
So know your numbers. Don't try to mirror the competition. Be your own company.
Sure.
You asked for one. I'm giving you a bunch, but
no, open mic, brother.
Don't.
I like how you said don't compare.
You can't. I mean, you have to be aware of what everyone in your market's doing. You can't be naive to it. But there's so many landscapers and different service providers out there that their entire business is built on the going rate, or the everyone else is running this mower or using this truck.
Sure.
You got to pay attention to that, but you got to do your own thing and then find customers that'll pay for what you have.
Right.
And then you got to get the hell out of the way and hire good people and let them do their job.
I like it. Well, like you said, when you hire good people, you're the bottleneck now, right? Because if you start micromanaging or second guessing, and you don't give them an environment to flourish, which is why we're talking about creating company culture. Well, you don't have to do a lot of the training if you already did this company culture thing, right? Because once they come into an organization, it's going to spit them right out if they're not a good fit.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you spend more time on the front end, one of my business owner friends says, then you don't have to spend as much time on the back end. Right. And so Brilar's got this culture, this company culture. I wish I could stick around longer to experience it and hang out. But at the end of the day, you guys have a lot going on. And I always want to be respectful of your calendar and Heather lining this all up. So I appreciate you taking the time to share.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for coming out and seeing us.
100%. Well, if you guys are ever by chance on my side of the town, make sure you guys wave, because I always wave to the Brilar trucks. Okay. If I ever see Mike Voories in there, I'll go, Mike, what's up, brother? But you guys are all over my neck of the woods in Wixom, Novi, Commerce. And, it's really cool. I say this a lot on my podcast, but I'm a competitive person, but I'm not like an overly competition guy. Like, I see Brilar out there, I wave, I high five. I see those guys at the pump every morning, fueling up on Beck Road and Pontiac Trail at the Speedway gas station every morning. There's a crew over there, I'm pretty sure. And I wave. They're all cool dudes. They cut the CVS or Rite Aid right across from where I had an apartment. So like, I know them. I see the Troy Claw guys. I see you guys. I see all the other bigger outfits in this area. And it's really cool that so many people are banding together, sticking together to help each other out. Yes, we're in business. Yes, we're competitors. But I think at the end of the day, we all want to make sure that our industry succeeds together, because I've always heard that the pricing is not based on what the customer wants to necessarily pay. It's what we're willing to do the work for. And I think that there was maybe a decade of that downward negative spiral competition. And I think a lot of people got burned out. I think the industry got burned out. And I just, if I can do anything to just increase the professionalism and the fun and the profitability of the industry, is to kind of stop that spinning wheel and start spinning it the other way upwards. And I know you guys are on that path, and just another kindred spirit out there as you guys continue to grow Brilar, which is super cool. And I know that because you guys gave me the time of day to do this podcast. Yeah. And I know you guys got 100 things going on. You don't need to do this. But I just want to say a lot of words just to say thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It's super cool what you're doing, Brian.
Well, cool. I appreciate it, brother. Well, we're trying. We're doing our little bit in the world, right? So, All right, guys. Well, hey, we'll wrap this up. We had none other than the COO of Brilar Inc., which is really cool. Another just national player, right, Heather? National player. And just a great time here. Just a bunch of good people. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, you guys already know, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and a kind review if you haven't done that already. But Mr. Mike, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
at CNI Services LLC?
Yep, on Instagram.
All right, cool deal.
Same thing on YouTube.
Let us know if you guys are listening the whole deal. Check him out on YouTube, and also check out his 2020 snow setup, his 2020 lawn care setup. We got those 2 or 3 videos that'll be going up July timeframe, maybe even August of 2020, and that's pretty much it. So we'll catch up with you guys in the next one. Good job, bro.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.